Hey there, thanks so much for clicking on our video. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Ashley, and we are the hosts of Bible and Banter.
Bible and Banter is a space for real conversations through the lens of faith.
We hope to be a reminder that we serve a good God
who left us a living word
to tackle all that life throws our way.
Hey, so let's get into it.
Let's go. Okay, so let's dive into it. Today we are just chatting a little about, it's almost like a story time. We're talking a little bit about the process of landing our first gigs after college, just because we know it can be a struggle.
Definitely.
So we're just gonna kind of dive into it. So Melissa, I'll let you kick it off with what happened after graduation when you just knew this is where the bright lights come.
Okay. So we thought.
Newsflash.
So we thought. Well, friends, I know for me, whenever I first graduated from college, I was excited. I don't know, I was a mixture of different emotions. I was just kind of thinking, all right, this is where life starts. I'm going to be a real adult now. And if just transferring myself back to senior year, you're ready to go. It's like, I've had my time here, we good, I'm tired of homework, I'm ready to just be out in the world. No more homework, no more teachers, no more school. I'm about to be living my best life because I got a degree, honey, a bachelor's degree. So doors just open up for me.
They open it all the way up. So ain't no knocking, cause
listen. And so I would say a couple months out of college after I kind of got more rest in, and I was like, all right, where the jobs at? I felt a little overwhelmed because when I would go in and apply for jobs that I qualified for, they would be looking for 5 to 8 years of experience, yet it's entry level. And you have to have all of these qualifications and do all of these different things. And then on top of that, a bachelor's degree. So I felt like the balance wasn't really fair, because I'm like, all right, I don't have 5 to 8 years experience in this thing, and yet you still want to pay me how much? So it was really confusing for me. Also, I didn't think it would be so difficult to find a job. I really thought, okay, I got the degree, so I should have people hitting me up. I mean, people just like, hey, you want to come work for us? And
10 minutes after I submit the resume.
It just did not happen. And I was just confused because I'm like, all right, I'm out of college now, but I don't really have a big girl job. Or I know for me, the path that I ended up going down was I got with a temp agency, which I definitely recommend for maybe people coming right out of college if you don't quite know if that's what you want to do. For me, I got a degree.
That's a good idea. I didn't even think that at the time.
I got a degree in journalism, so you couldn't tell me I wasn't gonna be on Good Morning America. I was like, this is the job for me. I will be up there with Robin Roberts, all right? I knew it. But then I got a call to interview for a news station, and it was in the middle of nowhere, Texas. Which, if you have this degree, you understand what I'm talking about. The saying was, you have to go out to come back home. So Dallas, where we're located, it's a top 5 market as far as journalism, broadcast, news goes. And when I went to go interview for this company, it was great. I was very excited because finally, I'm gonna do what I've been called to do. And I get out there. First of all, like I said, it was middle of nowhere, Texas, so there's no news. The news was, there's a squirrel in the tree. Go figure out how to make that exciting. And I realized, news is just not my calling.
It's just not my portion.
It's just not my calling. And I realized then I don't know what I want to do. And so I got a whole degree in this, and now what do I do with a degree that I can't use, essentially, is what I was thinking coming out of college. So, like I said, I got with a temp agency. They were marketing based, which marketing was my minor. So I was like, I'm glad I did this, but we'll see if there's any money in that. There is. There's definitely money in marketing. I was like, wow, they were offering me way more, which at the time it really wasn't that much, but way more than what I was getting for the news station. And so I was like, let me just go with this and see what I can do. So that's how I landed my first role, is just working with a temp agency. I think it makes it a little bit easier because essentially you'll work with an agent who will present opportunities to you. So essentially it is like, these are the things that you're bringing, and then they go through their database and find what might align with your skills. And so that's one maybe example of how you can land your first role. And I'll kind of push it back to you, Ashley. I'll come back in and out with my experiences, but I feel like that's maybe one step on getting toward a job.
So what's interesting, I actually started out as a journalism major and a marketing minor, and then in the middle of it, I flip-flopped the two and became a marketing major. And because I decided, listen, I grew up from humble beginnings, and the journalism life and going into just being broke and roughing it out, I was like, listen, I need a business degree, and then I'll have the journalism to come up after.
Student loans were starting to knock to. I said, dang, the grace period is over already.
So, because they don't play 6 months.
They don't. And my little $10 an hour was not doing it. So,
So for me, like I said, I did come from humble beginnings. I moved out on my own when I was 19. So I was going to college and I was working and pulling a lot of hours working. So I didn't have the opportunity to do internships. So I kind of felt like I was at a disadvantage whenever I graduated because I didn't have any kind of internships, which meant I had no experience. So for me, what I did was I kept my job that I had, but then I started picking up internships post-graduation to start building up. And so they're like I did with a small little PR firm, and then from there I worked with another kind of like entrepreneur, and so I was just kind of building my contacts, and then like randomly and keep in mind, during this time, I'm still applying for jobs. So I kept applying, and at the time I graduated with my undergrad, that was at a time where the economy wasn't great. It was similar to now, not the pandemic part, but just in the part where there's not that many jobs. So I had, all different kind of adults that was hitting you with the, oh, I feel so bad for college graduates graduating now. But you know what? Like at this point, I had already started my spiritual journey and really like building a relationship with God. And so even when they would say that, I swear every time in my head, I'm walking by faith and not by sight. So even though I sent out about 75 different versions of my cover letter and resume to all these different marketing agencies and all these different marketing positions, and I kept getting the, oh, sorry, no emails. I kept going and going and going, and it took until a year after I graduated for me to finally land a job in what I studied for, in marketing, because I didn't want to just take anything. I knew I was like, no, I'm holding off, so I'm going to do these internships, and I'm going to work these 2 jobs until I can finally get a marketing role. And it was all God, literally. I was watching a sermon one night, and they were like, do something bigger than yourself, and it was talking about serving and giving back. So I started looking into different organizations that I was passionate about, and stumbled across one nonprofit and reached out and said, hey, I'd love to volunteer for your college readiness program. That's something I'm really passionate about. I push all my little cousins for it. Oh, and also I have my marketing degree, so if you need any help, I can volunteer in that area too. So the volunteer director sent it over to the marketing director, and they brought me in to be a volunteer. And that lasted all of 2 weeks. She gave me one assignment, and I was serious about the assignment. And even so much so I touched base with her. Hey, it's been a couple weeks. I just wanted to let you know I'm working on it, and here's where I am now. From there, she said, hey, we actually are considering having a marketing assistant position. Would that be something that you would be interested in interviewing for? And so I was like, absolutely.
Sign me up.
So what turned into a volunteer project then turned into a part-time job. And then in 2 months, they realized I was killing them on overtime because they had big fundraisers, coming up. And so then they were like, we'd like to make you full-time. So end of September, I was hired part-time. Beginning of November, I was hired as full-time. Then my boss ended up leaving, and she was my first mentor. It broke my heart. But she left to open up visibility to me, and from there everything took off. I became the marketing manager like by the summertime, and then I became the whole marketing department for this organization for about 5 years. But all of it started with a year of me just believing God to do this for me. And I promise you, after a year and I got the job, it was like, he was like, okay, you were patient. bam, part-time, bam, full-time, bam, promotion. Like, and so it just goes to say, like, even now, I know it's a pandemic going on, and it seems like, man, I graduated with this degree and now I come out and this is going on. Just know that you have a God of the impossible.
Yes.
And that he's going to provide for you, take care of you. And when it seems like there is no way, he's making a way for you. He did it for me. I know he's going to do it for you. But that is
so good. I think that sometimes, like, whenever we get in our heads a lot about, I'm not getting this job in the time that I saw I was going to get this job. That was, I think, across the board. What we don't talk about enough is that so many of us struggle with this. And so for Ashley, it was like a year, but for some of us, it's going to be a year plus, you know, and then coming out of that and trying to stay encouraged in that, like, am I still going to get a job that I can really say that I really enjoy or that I'm really passionate about? I mean, as you can see, Ashley grew within her time there, but she had to have a starting place. And so I think that with that, let's just remember, no matter what, I can only speak on my personal situation, regardless of how much I was making, so to speak, I was always provided for. That's one thing I can say for sure. God has provided for me from beginning to end. All of my needs met. Yeah. Anything I wanted now, I wanted a lot of things. I wanted a lot of stuff. Right. But he's always going to provide you your basic needs. That's just that's how loving God is. He's like a father in that way. He cares for you. And sometimes the reason why you don't get certain opportunities is, one, you're maybe not ready yet, or two, it could be protection from something else that's happening within that. And you don't even know. You know, it's like, man, but you know, I want to work for Good Morning America. But there's a reason why you're not working for Good Morning America. At this point in time, you're literally just starting out in journalism. You just got your first year in. So you can't be Robin Roberts the first year, you know? Yeah. She started from somewhere. And so you can get, if that's your goal, cool. Like, keep working toward that. And like Ashley said, she was working in the meantime, like, she had her marketing degree, but you know, she was in a position where she didn't necessarily have the experience, but she made up for it in other ways. Right.
So and that's the thing, like I had a cousin talking to another cousin. I was just kind of standing there and he was saying, oh yeah, just because you have a degree, I know somebody that has a degree and they over there working at Whataburger. But here's the thing though, one thing that you have to remember is a degree is not this magical like door opener of all opportunities. What it does is it gives you the baseline minimum. Like for those jobs that say you have to have a bachelor's degree, okay, well now they can't keep you out for that reason because you have it. But you still have to hustle and you have to grind. Like she said, I was applying, but even in the midst of that, I was working my job that paid the bills, and then I was also doing an internship that was getting me experience and what I wanted to pivot to.
Exactly.
And also just being open to things. Like, never did I even think of working in nonprofit. I mean, the whole time that I was going to school, I just knew I was going to be at some advertising agency because of my copywriting skills, and my gift. I was like, I need to be writing, commercials for Nike, but that's not what happened. But I still had to be open to something different because I didn't know what God had for me. And what ended up happening was I went into nonprofit where it's so many limited resources that I became the marketing department, which means I had my hand in everything. And that's what truly, I believe, went and gave me an advantage whenever I went to move to corporate or into another position, is that I could almost go for any type of marketing and communications position because I ran our website, I did our social media, I did our PR, working with news stations and all of that. I did events, I did digital marketing, I ran direct mail campaigns, all of it. So because I had to do a little bit of video production, I did everything. So then whenever I went to these different corporations where typically you're only doing a small piece of something. So to be able to come and say, I can definitely do this part of it and do your internal communications, and then I can bring in my PR background to push my internal executive and making sure that they're getting on the internet. I can also do the different articles for that because I ghost wrote articles for our board of directors. I'm comfortable being around leadership because I work closely with our board of directors who who were CEOs and COOs of corporations. So all of a sudden I had this whole arsenal of skills that someone just coming out of an agency that may have only just been put on someone's social media, they're kind of now limited, pigeonholed and limited because all their experience is only in that one realm. So just be a little more open and don't feel like, oh man, this isn't what I wanted, because it may have been what you needed. So
that's it. And I want to tie it all back in together and just giving maybe them some tips on how they might be able to land their first role, because I think it's important. You know, of course we want to encourage you in this time because we know how difficult it is. It's very frustrating. And for me, I know we've talked about this in a different video, but when you do land that dream job, right, and then feel it's been taken away from you, because for a time, I mean, literally half a year, I was laid off from my dream job. So to have worked so hard to put in and get to the place you wanted to be, and then feel like it's like slipped away or the rug was taken from under you is very devastating. Is a word, but I want to leave them with just some tips on how they might go about landing that first role with maybe zero experience or limited experience. You saw how Ashley did it in her example. Coming from me, I went directly into corporate whenever I first landed my role, so this is just a different perspective. But I know in corporate America, you may go in as one thing. I went in as a marketing assistant, but in my role, I grew. So one thing that I think you should look for when you're going through your resume, make sure that it aligns with the job description. This may be something that you know you're confident and would be able to do this role, but make sure the thing about HR is they're looking for keywords. You are an amazing and awesome person, I'm sure, but they're not sitting there thinking like, this is an amazing, awesome person. They're like, can this person do the role? Does this align, like, does their resume align with what we're looking for? Because that's really all they're looking for. Is like, can you be a team player? Can you do this specific job description? So go through the job description, look through each line, and make sure that those keywords are popping up on your resume. That would be number one.
Absolutely. So, and to piggyback on that and making sure that you have those keywords, that means that means you may have to change your resume for every position you're going for. And this is for people, if you're really going for a position that you really, really want. So even though you did this, and this at this company, like, keep in mind when you need to read through the job description and then come back and change not lie.
Don't lie. Don't lie.
That's not what I'm saying.
But make sure you can actually back
because
up
like I said, in my role, because I was able to do so many different things. So if you had a job where you wore so many different hats, that becomes a blessing to you. That means what it showed that I did under that nonprofit, it changed depending on the job. So if I was going for one that was digital marketing heavy, then I'm pushing more of the stuff, the social media I was doing, the email campaigns that I was doing, the blogs that I worked with. That's what I'm going to push instead. But if it's more PR heavy, okay, well then I'm pushing working with NBC5. I'm pushing pitching, that I'm comfortable with pitching stories, and that I'm good at building relationships, and so you know what I mean. So you're making sure that you're tailoring your resume to fit that specific job description. And then when you're going into the interview, you're also paying attention to the things that the interviewer is saying, and you're preparing yourself to be able to. And
it's nerve-wracking. We understand that. There's anxiety behind it. You may have been trying for so many times and it's always no. So you go in with like that mindset of like, I've already been rejected so many times, so I just am nervous. And it's totally normal to feel nervous, but here's some things you can do. There's so many, I mean, use YouTube. There's a billion like videos about.
We're gonna have to do an interview preparation.
We will. Video. Let's do a separate, let's do that in a separate video, but definitely do your research on the company. Make sure, for me, my biggest thing was I want to make sure this company gives me an opportunity to professionally develop in a way that Ashley has. Like, she grew in that company. I want to be able to grow in this company. I don't want to be here and then be, you know, like, ooh, this wasn't it, or you know, the benefits kind of suck, or there's not really any benefit at all to working for this company. And you're stressing out and working as hard as you can. You work hard, right? So you want to be, one, compensated for that correctly, and then two, in a company that values you, and you're not just another employee. Like
Right.
you have a name, you have a space, you have a place in that company, and there are companies like that. So I think I want to cut it there because I feel like there's just so much that we can kind of come out of this.
But it almost deserves its own space. So we'll definitely leave it for that. So if you stuck around this whole time,
you're real, girl.
You are a real one. Like my friend, listen, you truly are a part of the tribe. So thank you so much. And be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what your experience was right out of college. Did you were you killing it in internships? So you just like went right into a job after college? Did it take you a while? Are you currently looking? What are some of your frustrations? Some of your questions? Just continue the conversation. We want to join in with you guys.
Yes, let us know in the comments where you're at. If you're just getting out of college, if you've been out of college, if you're kind of struggling in the pandemic and in that middle zone, we get it. We see you. We're here with you. But yeah, thanks again, guys, for watching. If you like this video, tune in each Sunday because we're going to come back with another real and relevant topic, navigating relationships, friendships,
to careers, and just navigating corporate America as a Christian. We are talking about all of it.
All of it.
But you know what? In the meantime and in between time, just please remember that Jesus loves you.
We love you.
And you are more than enough.
Bye.
Bye.